This case, it's like the worst thing you could pretend to be is an IRS agent. That's my perspective in this situation.
Now, to the new section that we talked about was the tax T. So in the intro, I talked about for the tax T, there was a person who was impersonating an IRS agent. And of course, this did not end well for this person. So I'll let you share some of the details on that story.
Yeah, so basically the story here is, let's just get straight. So the punishment for this person is up to 30 years in prison. It's basically the punishment. And okay, there's so many things wrong with this story. I'll start with the first thing that's wrong with the story. So this person is not originally from the United States, came into the United States, and then pretended to be an IRS official or IRS tax agent, filed over 1,700 tax returns. And I think like the return on these, so it doesn't share the details of exactly how this person was getting the money, but basically pretended to be an IRS employee, filed over 1,700 tax returns. I guess the money was somehow going into like this account that this person had access to. I think they said altogether they may have filed, I don't know, like upwards of like $2 million more or whatever in returns. I don't remember the exact amount. But basically in this case, it's like the worst thing you could pretend to be is an IRS agent. That's my perspective in this situation, because now the issue you're running into is you're impersonating an IRS tax agent, which I'm like, I don't even know how they did that. They filed this tax returns, and then now there's a risk of, basically for each, I think the way they're handling it is for each offense, they get up to 30 years in prison. You know, that story, wild.
It is, and I would say that's an important one for business owners, because I do think within that story is the whole impersonating the IRS agent. Part of that is because you're calling people, you're asking them for their personal information, the information he used to create the false tax returns.
Yeah.
So where I think identity theft is very high when it comes down to, taxes and stuff like that, because I think that we've even gotten a call from someone that said, they were the IRS and that we owe back taxes and that we needed to pay. And they started asking these questions. Now, us being accountants knew that, there's something about this ain't right. So usually I will say for business owners and for individuals, IRS, usually their first communication is going to be a letter that they send you. And the good thing is on that letter, they tend to put a case number or some type of case information. So if they do call you, they'll reference the case number in that information. So you're not, deceived into handing your information over to a bad actor. And typically they're not going to ask for a payment over the phone.
That part, that's another. Yeah,
so that is another one I think that is very important. Like I said, for this gentleman who came to America, I guess he saw an opportunity and impersonated an agent, collected people's information, and not only collected information and used that to file false tax returns. Now he has been caught for what he is doing. So which I think another important point is I tell people is that not everyone who's doing accounting or who inquires about your taxes or who prepares tax return is legit. So make sure that you are not working with shady people. And you can use some of your common sense to tell whether a person is shady or not. If a person is promising you a certain level of return without actually seeing your information, or if a person is asking you for personal information over the phone and they are the ones that called you, is likely that that's not a credible person that you should be sharing your information with. And I will say, and if you're unsure and a person asks you for your personal information on the phone, ask them for their number. Like, hey, can I give you a call back? And that way you look up their IRS agent or their company, you call them, and then you can tell by the way they answer the phone, if that's a legit business, or just ask, can I mail this in, or do you have an office that I can go to or whatever? I would say avoid sharing your personal information, because then you give fuel to a gentleman like this who is likely going to jail for a minimum of 30 years for his horrible impersonation of an IRS agent, and fraudulent tax return